Tonight, I'm joined by clinician, chiropractor, founder and CEO of The Wellness Way, international speaker and best-selling author, Dr. Patrick Flynn. How you doing, sir? Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining me.
You betcha. I'm doing fantastic. How are yourself?
It's great. No sleep because I have a 5 months old, so
Yes.
I don't know what sleeping means anymore. I understand the joke now, but
Yes.
before we get started, though, I want you to repeat on air what you were just telling me in the back room, that you are back in school. We're looking at a student again.
Yes. For some of you guys maybe not seeing my history that way, is when I was in undergraduate and my postgraduate is in immunology and nutrition, and then I went to graduate school being a chiropractor. And what ended up happening so my whole love, my whole basis of my company, I started with one clinic and now we have them all over the US and some in Europe and things like that, was based on all immunological principles and things like that. And then what I did, just because I'm 51 years old now and I continually, grow my company and have more offices that way. But I also am always in the battle of what they say we talk about is misinformation. And the immunological world, I watch what they put out there, like when I was coming against all the people during COVID that way and how they've actually misled people so much. I said, listen, I only need about 30 credits left to finish my master's degree in immunology. And then some of my biggest mentors that I talk to on a regular basis are PhD immunologists. And I said, you want something? My company's huge. We see thousands of patients a day all over the world. I love life. I love this. But you've experienced this too, even since you had your baby. There's always a battle, and you need great people to be willing to fight the battle because it's never going to go away. It's $1 trillion system that they're never going to give up on. It's the holy grail of medicine being vaccines. And that's why I learned at 17 how bad vaccines were. And that's why my undergraduate and all this stuff was based on immunology. And I went to chiropractic college because it was just more of a vitalistic, terrain-based thing. From an immunologist standpoint, that's everything. And everything I learned in immunology shows you got to have a good train. COVID means nothing if you have a good train. Measles means nothing if you have a good train. You'll go through it just fine. So you're looking at so I actually legitimately applied to a medical school that has one of the best immunology programs in the country and got accepted. And now you're just looking at a college student. Well, now, obviously, I have a big company. I run the Wellness Way and things like that and some of that. But the idea is but I'm a full-time college student too.
Congratulations. That's a good thing. Like we were just saying, to me, it's not going to make your opinion more valid. It's not going to make what you say more true. But to a lot of people out there, those pieces of paper actually matter. So good for you for doing it. Good for you for continuing to fight the fight, because we first talked about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and I'm happy to see that you're still doing it. But now this new podcast series that we're working on right now is in association with an organization in Canada called Vaccine Choice Canada. And what they do is to try to provide informed consent. So all the information that's needed for individuals out there to have informed consent, to be able to take a real decision, knowing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this series is really specifically on vaccination when it comes to pregnant women, expecting, and new parents. And one of the reasons why I was chosen to do this is because I have a 5 months old. He's our first, and we've been going through that whole mess of vaccination from the time my wife became pregnant to during the pregnancy to when she delivered to now that he's 5 months old. They are relentless. And it's a good thing that my wife and I are on the same page. We both agree that we don't want our son to be vaccinated. We believe in the immune system. We believe in treating it properly so that it will protect us. And that's the idea behind this. So I really appreciate you being here, because this is not the information that's out there. There's not a lot of people like you and I that want to talk about this.
And trust me, I can honestly tell you, from my immunology background and even the stuff that I know now and remember, even before I even applied for college to finish my master's and PhD, what I did was I already took classes at Harvard, things like that in the immunology program and vaccination, stuff like that. Actually, no joke, one of my courses is vaccine development. So I'm in the mix of it every single day. And if you ever listen to PhDs and scientists, there is no divinity in anything they talk about. Like, well, this and well, that. Yet on the news and pharmaceutical drug companies and vaccines, there's Jesus and there's vaccines. And sometimes they believe it's better than Jesus itself. Okay. And I'm not joking. And that's why I've always said vaccines is the biggest religion on the planet. It's not Christianity. It's not Muslim. It's not Hindu. It's not Buddhism. It's actually vaccination. It's the biggest religion on the planet because you have to have more faith in what they tell you on TV or your doctors tell you than actually true immunological science. And I'm in the mix of it and stuff like that. So, yeah. And so God bless you. The wonderful Canadian organization that you guys are doing that way. It's going to have a very big impact because it will never stop. It will never stop. It's $1 trillion system. It will never stop.
So there's a few things I wanted to touch on with you. First, I want to talk about pregnancy. I want to talk about newborns. I want to talk about babies. And I want to talk how we can arm the parents out there, the expecting parents or the parents of newborns, what they need to do, what they need to be prepared for. Because it's a good thing I'm a very hard-headed individual from the get-go. I question what everybody tells me. So it wasn't too hard for us. But wow, are they relentless? And one of the things that the average individual, especially today, if you're pregnant, chances are that it might be your first pregnancy, might be your second, but you don't know how it was 30 years ago. Because if you look before 1997, pregnancy was considered a sacred time. Women understood the importance of taking precautions, of ensuring the health of their health, the safe health of their unborn child by avoiding anything that could potentially be dangerous for them. Yet you look, since 1997, especially in Canada, vaccines have been recommended from the time the woman knows that she's pregnant. And if you follow Health Canada's recommendation right now, you're looking at 7 vaccines during pregnancy alone. So influenza, the Tdap, which is 3 different vaccines in one, COVID, RSV, Hepatitis B. What is your opinion on doctors wanting to vaccinate pregnant women?
Well, clinically, they're misleading people. And I just had this conversation about the Tdap with a person that way, because they act like that the child is going to build immunity from the mother getting the vaccine. They actually literally tell people this. I literally have an email right now. I can show you, like, the doctor said this is, well, that's not really true. And see, what they do is they always come with some definitive answer that by getting this, the person's going to be immune to this. And that from a immunological standpoint, that makes no sense. Okay. Now, for example, when they look at pregnancy and the passive immunity that a mother can produce an antibody and pass it through the placenta. They can also do that through the breast milk. But see, what they're doing is they're actually trying to say by the increase of the antibody production, that now the baby's going to be better protected when it's born. And in theory, that could work. But in practicality, it doesn't. Because here's what happens there's a difference between a mother just passing it through to a child and a child actually building its true immune response to that infection. Because you understand, measles should be given to everybody just by contact with everybody. So let's talk about measles alone because it's a big topic right now. The death rate of measles is extremely, extremely low. And I always laugh about this. Medicine, you're talking about you have such great advances in technology that way. You're telling me you can't even give them some medication, help them get through some of the problems that measles could even deal with that way? Which you ask any medical professional, well, of course, we can do this, antivirals and stuff of this. Then they go through the infection with some support. But that being said, for example, the concept of passive immunity, actually making the fact that a child's immune because the mother got the shot is actually misleading. And it's not true, okay? Because the minute the child would come in contact with pertussis, or tetanus that way, the passive immunity goes away very quickly, very quickly. So the concept of it doesn't make any sense when they're telling the child that the baby's better protected by the mother getting the vaccine during time, because they're confusing actually building the immune response to passive immunity. For example, let's take the breast milk. The reason why a child is born with intestinal hyperpermeability, to the public, people know that as leaky gut. Well, of course you want that. Do you know why? Because breast milk has antibodies in there. And so therefore the proteins are too large that if you had a normal functioning GI, it would never be able to pass into the bloodstream and circulate. So that's an idea of passive immune response. But do you ever notice that when a mother, even they breastfeed for a year or two, stops breastfeeding, do you notice that the child starts, your wife will start to, watch this, when your wife stops breastfeeding, you will start to know that your child starts to get more infections than they did before. Because you know why? Not because they're sick. It's because the baby said, thank you, mom. Thank you for that beautiful food that protects me from things that I didn't need a vaccine for in the first place. But then I now have built up enough of my own terrain, because here's what happens, guys. The reason why the medical field will so lie to you, the reason why the CDC, the Canadian health system, everything was so lied to you, because it's based on the medical paradigm of the germ theory. That, guess what happens? If the germ theory was correct, no one would be alive to even talk about it, because they fear this bug coming in contact. Yet if you're more in the vitalistic realm, you look at terrain. For example, I can tell you, I've known people that died from a flu. I know people that have died from a cold. Now, why is it not that every person didn't die around them? Well, because their immune system. Well, wait, so it's not the bug. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just people die more from bugs more today because they've listened to that advice, fearing bugs instead of building their terrain. And a child needs to build their terrain. So the minute that your wife stops breastfeeding, that passive immunity now is gone. And now they must build up their own adaptive response, because the mother passed on their innate response when they're born. And then the environment builds up their adaptive immune response, which, for example, the only way you can develop a healthy child is by exposure.
See, that's a good point, because measles is a vaccine that they don't recommend during pregnancy. You should get it before you get pregnant. Like half of the women out there don't even plan on pregnancy if you look at the statistics. Yep. But it's how ironic that they recommend 7 different injections, well, 5 different injections, 7 different vaccines, because the Tdap obviously is 3-in-1. But how interesting that the measles is too dangerous during pregnancy, but all the other ones are not. It's, do you think, because I know I can ask you that question, do you think that, because you use the word misleading and then you use the word lying, are they really misleading people? Is it ignorance, or are they outright lying?
Lies. Pure lies. Aaron, do me a favor. Aaron, grab, I've done this for 30 years. I've got stacks of immunology books. I just had to purchase another one for one of my courses that way. Do you understand that if you look at immunology, and you actually know it, grab any of my immunology books or the textbooks I've had for 30 years and doing all stuff that way. It's like, here's what happens this. If you look at actually what true immunological responses and stuff are. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, I've got textbooks. I've been through those with a fine-tooth comb and all those things that way. And what they tell you on TV and what they tell you on CDC, and just even take COVID alone. I'm sitting here going, what they just taught you about COVID actually goes against any basic immunology that you would understand, period. That's why vaccines make no clinical sense. Zero, none. Do you see what I'm saying? Because here's what happens. They actually get you to focus on something different than actually was really true for you to build a healthy body. And let me give you an example. I even said the word a couple times, okay? If you look at vaccines are meant to initiate a certain response. But you know that if you just took a virus with nothing but saline solution and injected in somebody, do you know the vast majority of people the immune system kills it so fast that it wouldn't even work? That's why they talk about the past history of vaccines. They took the smallpox and they put it into kids. Actually, that doesn't make any sense. They might have done it, but just by putting a virus into the body does not create enough immune response for them to actually build an adaptive immune response. So what they did, they had to add things in, like adjuvants, to say, we are going to make the immune system so hyper responsive that anything that we put in, the body's going to have such a massive response. But you know what's really funny is this? When they inject that kid, maybe that kid will eat an egg that day, or eat something, or come in contact with something, and now their immune system now is so hyper responsive, they take even normal things. When you and I were kids, how many kids had allergies? Do you understand that when you study rats, and I'm going to do this, not a joke, my whole PhD is going to be on adjuvants, especially AAHS, the most destructive adjuvant there is on the planet. It's meant to, if you want to create allergies in rats or mice, you give it aluminum and give it anything from there, the immune response is so dramatic, they give it aluminum to now make it allergic to something. Yeah, it's okay to put into our kids in our pregnant moms. But you know why it's easy to say there's no problem with it? Because the only way that you can show that that aluminum has gone other places in the body is by autopsy. Well, guess what happens? How many people are we autopsying after even SIDS or things like that? It doesn't happen. So that's how they can get away with it. There's so much corruption. There's so much misleading. There's so many lies. And yes, there's lies. They lie to people. You wonder why I got so upset during COVID and so upset with vaccines. You said the word. Tell people the truth. Tell people the truth. And guess what happens? Now, if a parent wants to make a choice from there, at least they did it based on information that's truthful. Nobody gets the truth. Pediatricians, when I was a kid, they didn't have pediatricians, but they had to create a vaccine doctor. Do you say him? Because what does your pediatrician know about a well baby? Bring the child for a well baby check. What does your pediatrician know about a well baby? I'm not being negative, like what they know about. I have friends now. One of my closest friends is a pediatrician, and they pulled his license because he realized that vaccinating kids was worse than not. And it's interesting because as this happens, it's like you sit there and go, people are really being lied to. And until people like us step up and say, stop lying to people, give parents the right choice. Because most parents want to do the best for their child. How can they do the best for a child when they don't even give all the information?
That's my whole point. I cannot control what the doctors say. It's out of my control, but I can definitely put the information out there. But I can tell you that I've asked myself the question: are they blatantly ignorant, as in they don't question, they just believe everything they're told, and they're just repeating the mantra like safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective, right? Nobody wants to seem to question this. And when we came back to Canada, we got a doctor so that she could go through the pregnancy. She would go there every 4 weeks, I think once a month. She would go check with her just to make sure everything was okay. And I swear to you, the doctor was more interested in if she changed her mind on vaccination, on giving the umbilical cord, than she was on, hey, how you been eating? Have you been exercising? How's your sleep? Do you feel stress? How do you feel in your body? Nope. It's all vaccine this, vaccine that. Have you thought about this medication? Have you thought about this? Have you changed your mind on the pre-clamping? Like, it's absolutely insane how the doctors are, it literally looks like they're going through a check mark and there's a $sign at the end. The more checks have been checked on that check mark list, the more money they make. And I'm not saying that that's what it is, but I'm not saying it isn't either.
I would say this from just knowing them, and I get the blessing of living in two worlds. Like I always tell people, I always consider medicine the fire department. You say I can give them great credit for things they've done when it came to putting out emergency medicine. That's why I say I call diseases fires. Okay, it's just that when they try to tell people we're going to do things like health. So vaccines and statin drugs are the two biggest lies in medical history because they're the prevention tools. Well, how's heart disease doing, and how are our kids doing? Sickest kids ever in history, all over the world. Heart disease goes up everywhere in all industrialized worlds all over the world. That's their idea of prevention. Now, Durham, I will tell you this. The vast majority of doctors that I can actually tell you that are pushing the vaccines actually truly believe in them. Truly believe in them. And so then here's what happens. Let's take my holistic natural world. If you were to ask me what Genema does, okay, the reason I'm bringing this up is because Genema should have been used by everybody across the world, especially the United States. You guys celebrate Christmas in Canada?
Of course we do. Come on.
Okay, good. I didn't know. Trust me.
Come on.
I'm trying to like not assume something that way. Okay, because so there's this. But would you agree with me? Would you agree with me that over the course of last month, even being a healthy eater, that you consume more calories and more organic sugar, and even if it's perfect ingredients, during December than you did, let's say, in September? Could you agree with me on that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm as a provider, as a clinician, I'm gonna say, hey, listen, Nico, would you agree with me? You're gonna be a little sassy on your diet through the month of December. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you what's called Genema. The Genema has generic acid in there, which binds to the receptors of sugar absorption. So therefore, the herb is even known as destroyer of sugar. So therefore, I'm going to be able to tell you the exact ingredient and the mechanism of action and how it works. And as a patient, you're going, Doc, you're right. I'm going to eat too much sugar, even organic, and I don't want my blood sugar because metabolic disease. I don't want to gain weight. So I'm going to give you Genema, and it's going to help you during that month. People go, Doc, that makes so much sense. Yes, here's what happens. All you have to do to a doctor is say, Doc, what are the ingredients and mechanism of actions of the vaccine? Do You're going to tell you, I have talked to so many MDs, DCs, nurses, because even people that don't like vaccines, I'm like, tell me how they work. And see, that's why my love for immunology always existed that way, because I'll talk to you about the whole mechanism of action. And so therefore, the doctors, to make your point, I believe that 90% of the doctors truly believe it like a religion, like they're the closest thing to Jesus. That vaccines are the closest thing to Jesus. Because they get so passionate. I can't believe you're not vaccinated. Okay, what's the ingredients? What? Okay, so now the Hep B vaccine has AAHS. It's a very synthetic form of aluminum compared to even what's in DPT. But what's the mechanism? Well, how does the macrophage and the neutrophil and the natural killer cell deal with AHS compared to this? Well, and see, then here comes the emotion. Like, they can't attack the message, so they attack the messenger. Do you follow me in that? See, that's the thing. So they really believe it, because I want you to think about this. Medicine has built the holy grail of their whole world on vaccines. And can you imagine going up to a Muslim and saying you're an idiot because of Muhammad, or going up to a Christian saying you're an idiot because of Jesus? What do you think their response is? Anger. You don't believe it. We have the truth. You get my point? That's why I've always said vaccines are the biggest religion on the planet, because it doesn't matter what your religion is. Vast majority of people have been convinced that vaccines are great, and it's a holy grail and stuff. So I believe that most doctors actually believe what they're taught, and they were not taught mechanism. They're not taught how these cells work. I can honestly tell you, I'm dialoguing with a PhD right now in immunology. I can pull up my notes right here just on my phone, because he was asking me questions in my world, because obviously I'm more of a holistic natural doctor, and I love being a chiropractor because our thinking is different. But I can tell you all the mechanisms of action, and we're discussing of things that I can teach you, even on this podcast, what is going to give your immune system for your baby, for your mother and everything, to respond to its environment, so the terrain is strong, so you're not worried about the germ theory. Then when the germ does come to you, your body will, from the standpoint of coming through your nose, going through your skin, going through that way, and how you can actually make sure your terrain is strong, even if you've never came in contact with measles, even if you never came in contact with whooping cough, all the things my daughters do. Guys, I have 4 daughters, 22, 19, 16, and 12, never been vaccinated, had measles, had actually whooping cough, had chickenpox. How? They're here. Do you follow me? They went through it normally and naturally, because you take care of the terrain. You take care of the terrain. So, and this is what should be taught to people.
Do you think that one of the main reasons vaccines are so successful, as in profitable, is because people are scared of getting sick? Because let's be honest, your immune system becomes stronger by being challenged. If you treat your body with the respect that it deserves, if you don't treat your body like a dumpster and you treat it the way it should be treated, it will fight for you. But that means you will get sick. That means that I'm a bit too young for the measles party, but I remember the chickenpox parties. We had that when we were a kid. If somebody on our street had chickenpox, you can guarantee you that the parents were all shoving their kids to that house to make sure they caught it. Do you think that the reason why vaccines are so profitable today is just people are scared to get sick and they want to avoid pain as much as possible, or altogether?
Yeah, let's do this. Okay. What I want you to do is you have to define what you mean by sickness. Because let's do this with you, Nico. Okay. I'm going to invite you to my house, and I'm going to pour you something in your cup, and I'm going to drink some kombucha, but I'm going to pour a little gasoline in your cup. Okay. And you drink it. Let me see a question. Would you agree that your body's probably going to puke?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Diarrhea?
Probably.
Fever?
Sure. I'm saying yes because I think so, but I've never drinking gas, so I don't know.
No, I'm giving you an extreme example to make my point, but would you be exhausted?
Probably.
Now, if you went to the doctor, you would say, look at doc, I'm sick. But what if I could show you that all the mechanisms in your immune response said, listen, I have this toxic thing and I'm going to rid it. And it's the most healthy response you could ever imagine. So should we stop the nausea, stop the diarrhea medications, and keep the poisons in? See, so the concept of sick. Okay, wait, hold the phone. My child broke out in a rash. So I love this movie called Shrek. And Shrek always said it's better out than in. Do you follow me in that?
Yep.
Your skin is a very great elimination organ. So the concept of sick is you broke out in a rash, you got a fever, you don't feel good, you're exhausted. From an immunological standpoint, I'm going, oh, Nico, you kid, and you are doing such a great job. Keep on puking. And now what they'll do is they'll use the extremes. Here we go. Let's talk about the exceptions, not the rule. But do you know that people in Africa still die from a fever, still die from diarrhea? Yeah, because they shit and eat in the same place. They don't have clean drinking water. You're going to compare that to the United States or Canada, where you can just walk up to a faucet and get some chlorinated water? Do you follow me in this? And because everyone wants to talk about the exceptions, not the rules, let's talk about the rules, because we can deal with the exceptions later. Yeah, don't get a fever in the Uganda. You might die. Okay? But do you understand that the fever isn't going to hurt you here? And do you understand, if you understand immunological responses, you'll have a febrile seizure before anything would happen in the first place, which is a protection mechanism. Oh my goodness, doc, you tell me a seizure could be a protection mechanism? Yeah, it's called a febrile seizure. Look it up. See, just by telling people that, parents go, now what do I got to do? What do I got to do to build my terrain and my baby's immune system and stuff like that? So then that when they do come in contact, do you understand, guys? Do you understand that every person is a walking petri dish? If you understand that we have more bacteria in our body than we have human cells, you would sit there and go, there's a constant dance between every time you say hi to somebody, every time you shake a hand, every time you go to think about this way, Nico. Your child, let's say they go to school. Do you know that September is the greatest amount of sniffles and runny noses and colds and stuff like that? Because school starts, and guess what happens? You come in contact with vaccinated kids, not vaccinated kids, kids that brought you new bacteria, all stuff of this. That's why I do environments. I travel all over. That's why you'll never really have a true pandemic, because travel, it wasn't like we talk about, for all the liberals here in the United States, they're like, all the indigenous people here, we killed them. Yeah, you know what majorly killed them? The virus and bacteria we brought from Europe. Do you know that? Actually, because they weren't used to it. Do you understand, if you understand travel today, the chance of having a pandemic spread over and kill people is virtually impossible. It won't happen. Do you see what I'm saying? It won't happen. The only way that people die from viruses and bacteria is if they're immune deficient. Do you understand, during COVID, Trump made a big mistake. You don't test for the virus. You test how you respond to the virus. It's just a different lab. There's viruses everywhere. There's viruses that exist that we don't know about. There's bacteria that we don't know about. Honestly, it's discoveries, but we're still surviving.
So clearly, you're not suggesting or recommending pregnant women to get vaccinated, but immune system-wise, what would be advices that you would give them, that you could give a pregnant woman today to say, instead of getting vaccinated, take care of your terrain, like you like to say, take care of your immune system? How could they do that? Your
pregnant women love me until right now. Are you ready?
Yep.
Research started in the 70s and it's still just as valid today, and it's still studied today. Do you know that if you put this thing in your body, it can suppress your immune system for 4 to 5 hours? You know what it's called? Too much sugar. See, do you understand that the world is convinced that viruses, which are not alive, sorry, it's just a protein in the fat. Do you understand bacteria are alive, viruses are not? Okay? That's why they even say live virus vaccine and attenuated. That's a kind of a lie. It's ability to replicate and ability to not. Okay? But here's the point. That all of a sudden, in the United States, the viruses go, it's vacation time. It's October, November, December. We're going to start traveling all over the U.S. and infect everybody. And it's going to go into January. Do you understand that they've convinced people the concept of the flu season shows you how gullible people are? Do you think it's the flu season? Or do you think that what you do in October, Halloween, November, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the sugar, you gained weight all through those 3 months all across the world, that maybe you're more susceptible to the virus because of what you've done to your terrain over that course of 3 months? or they're magically is this, they just hibernate from January all the way till September. And now they get together like the WHO and say, it's time to infect everybody. You have more chance of WHO doing that to you than you have actually true viruses doing that to you. See, you laugh, but you're like, you're right. And I'm not trying to be right. Basics. So when I say, listen, ladies, get rid of processed food. You suppress your immune system. Do not overeat sugar. Do you understand that one soda can suppress your immune system up to 4 hours? One soda. And I watch kids, I watch adults, I watch pregnant women do this stuff. I watch all these things. My children have never had a soda in their life. You saying? But I taught them as they were young, and they look at going, oh my goodness, Dad, look what happens to these people. Yeah. And you wonder why. See, I'm telling you right now, for the vast majority of the world, they better understand the germ theory, because you have to take personal responsibility to keep your body good. And a lot of people don't want to do that, so then you better get vaccines. I'm actually very pro-vaccine for most people. Surprises you, doesn't it? Because you know why? Because people do this. Nope, I don't want to spend money on my own stuff. Canadian healthcare is the only thing that's going to pay for me. I'm not going to exercise. I'm not going to cut back on sugar. Then you better get every vaccine in the world and jack up your immune system and deal with the consequences of all the negative effects that come from it. Otherwise, the virus is probably going to kill you. Weird, isn't it? You saying? And my kids, they're at a vaccine. But you have a choice. You have a choice. You cannot live the modern lifestyle and actually expect your immune system to respond normally. That's why there was a big debate in the United States during COVID. And you had the Republicans on there saying, you know, the vaccine is horrible. And then all of a sudden CNN will have a fat guy that died from the vaccine or died from the COVID said, look at this person died because they didn't love the vaccine. Well, of course, just because you didn't like the vaccine didn't mean that guy was healthy. And the virus came along and said, you're fat, your immune system sucks. I'm going to tear you up. I'm going to do my job that God intended me to do. Okay? Because you understand, they're not working with the biology that's created and how it's supposed to do that way. The vast majority of people today, that's what I said to your audience, stay away from sugar. You have to. You just have to. Now, it doesn't mean you can't eat carbohydrates. It doesn't mean you can't have certain sugar. But the vast majority of the world has a form of obesity. Look at the number one people that died during COVID. What were they? People that had metabolic syndrome. Do you understand? Because it suppressed their immune system. Now, second, here's what happens. Ladies, I know you love this one. But Nico, you said this too. Sleep. 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 Women need 8 to 10 hours a day. Men can get away with 8. Women need more sleep. Okay? Third, the most important thing that they taught you is bad. Vitamin D, the sun. The sun. If you can't get the sun, you live in Canada, I live in Wisconsin, it's snowing like crazy out there, I'm going to take some vitamin D3, K2. It's the most important thing to regulate the immune system. Omega-3 fatty acids. You cannot reduce an inflammatory response without omega-3 fatty acids. Every PhD immunologist is like, I can't believe people don't take omega-3s. Cod liver oil, because that's vitamin A and vitamin D in it. And the number one medicinal mushroom in the world, reishi. The polysaccharides feed the innate and adaptive immune response and give it cellular energy in order to respond to it so you can recover quicker. It's actually known as the mushroom of immortality.
Which one is it? That's the only thing I never heard of.
Reishi mushroom.
How do you spell it?
Reishi. And I can go through every herb, every constituent. I can tell you the polysaccharide within reishi and how it affects each immune cell. Can your pediatrician tell you every ingredient and how it affects your immune system and your tissues in your body? No. I can tell you. And I'm just in the middle of my master's. And I was a chiropractor for, do you understand? I just started my 27th year. I can tell you.
Yeah.
So you see, that's the thing. So I just came out and spoke and said, you're lying. Yeah, they lie a lot. And see, everybody, now do me a favor. I want you guys to take what I've said so far, put it in ChatGPT, put it in Grok, and they'll be like, guess, and you think I'm joking. I do this with everything. You say, with myself. Because I'm like going, Heck, there's a time, this is not a joke. This is a time, my team's here, I'm in my studio. When I was taking my vaccine and viral immunology class through Harvard, the professor, I got one wrong on a test. And I'm not joking. See, my team's laughing. I'm like, I'm right. They're wrong. I went back to my research. I pulled my books up. I said to my professor, I said, you got this question wrong. This is the real answer. They sent me back and said, you're right. We're going to correct the question. And these are some of the best PhDs in the world. But the question was wrong. Okay. Now, the reason why I bring that up is this. I'm not saying I'm smart. I'm saying the fact that, hey, listen, that the viewpoint of the world has it going in such a wrong direction. And we have to get people back on that terrain aspect that way instead of the germ theory. And if you don't, then you're going to live and die by the germ theory. And they have to deal with the consequences of the germ theory. Because, hey, watch this. There have been a medicinal mushroom that the Texas Medical School did a study when it came to HPV that wiped out, even said, got rid of the virus. HPV. It wasn't a drug, it was a medicinal mushroom. You see that on the news? You see that from Fauci, You see that from CDC, you see that from the Canadian Health Center? I could post research for you. But see, you can't patent a mushroom. You can't make $1 billion off of it. You can buy it at your health food store. You buy it online. Not a joke. Most simplest things you can do. So take everything you said and fact check me. And it's going to blow your mind away. Because you'll be like, holy crap. I even just looked at the sugar and typed in Genema. It's called the destroyer of sugar. Here's the genemic acid. Attaches to the receptors that brings in sugar into the cell. It stops it. So why are we sitting there dealing with insulin instead of Genema? Do you understand? I could go on forever, all this stuff. See, so I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm pro-immune system.
That's a good way to put it. I like that. I like that.
I trust God, not people that think they're gods.
Oh, snap. I like that even more. Can you spell that out? The last one, your Genema? Gymnema. Do me a favor. Jump on the most medical website in the world, WebMD. It tells you that it actually helps regenerate the pancreas. Do you understand? There's herbs that are regenerative and rebuild organs. But a pediatrician can't tell you what one ingredient does in a vaccine. I got it right here. I'm going to look this up afterwards because I've taken mushrooms for a very long time. So that I know how I'm a big fan of microdosing. Big fan of microdosing. I've done it for years. But I never heard of... Oh, yeah, psilocybin. I used to...
Yeah, because
I used to microdose.
You know that actually regrows brain tissue.
Yep, 100%. It redoes your brain, your neurons' brain pathway. It's absolute, and it helps you concentrate. So I'm a big fan of mushrooms. That's why I was surprised the Reishi.
Let me correct your language so you speak more like a vitalistic person instead of a medical person. It doesn't make you concentrate. It actually helps you rebuild your brain so your brain works normally. Stop living in that medical world. That's not health. Do you understand? That's treatment. I don't even like the word treatment. Do you understand? Because treatment continues. See, that's why you got to give your body what needs to rebuild and regrow. Because remember, your body never stays the same. You're either growing or dying. There is no in between. So give it what it needs.
So let me ask you this. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about is the newborns. And obviously, I know how you feel about the vitamin K shot. And the vitamin K shot, for the people that might be expecting right now that don't have kids yet, this is literally Trump pushed on you 6 hours from the birth of your newborn. We refused it. They still tried to sell us that story when my wife was literally recovering from delivering a baby naturally with no medication whatsoever. Then they try to sell you the hepatitis B, saying that, oh, it's possible that it could be passed from the mother to the child, yet they test hepatitis B. When we were in the US, they were testing it, and my wife only has one partner, which is me.
Right.
So obviously...
They do. They treat like a whore.
Exactly. This is
Yeah.
exactly what I was going to say. It's interesting how they test you with Hep B during the pregnancy, then they try to inject your kid with the Hep B vaccine. As in, what? Do you think my wife has been sleeping around this whole
Yeah.
time while
They
she
try
was
like a whore.
pregnant?
And are there whores out there? Sure there is. You saying? And it was created for whores. It really was. I'm not being disrespectful. It really was. And then they realized they created this whole product and could not get it. So they gave the kids on the aspect of the exceptions, not the rules. The major rule is 99.94% people will never have any contact or anything to do with Hep B. None. So you want, it's like this. I'll give the example, and this is just me. This is just me. I'm a pro-lifer. That's just me. It's just my religious beliefs. I'm a pro-lifer. Well, what about rape? Do you understand, ladies? That is disgusting. They should castrate that man. But if you were raped, all you have to do is go to the hospital and get a shot of estrogen, and the egg will not implant on, even if it's fertilized. So we just got rid of those. Well, what about incest that does happen and they're pregnant for months? Okay, now we can debate the exceptions. Fair enough? Okay, and we can talk about the exceptions. But you agree with me that 99.5% of abortions are just convenience? Okay, and then let's debate the incest. Okay, and let's debate it. But just the general rules, you just got caught with your pants down, no pun intended. Okay, Hep B, the same thing. For the mothers that do have Hep B, maybe it's justified. Even I could probably justify it, a vaccine. But there's also other treatments they can do. Do you know the vaccine doesn't come along? They also give you immunoglobulins. See, they forget to tell you that. Do you see what I'm saying? But this is the whole medical treatment that they don't give you a full informed consent. But let's stop talking about the exceptions and not the rules first. Fair enough?
That's how it should always be. That's always how it should be.
Yep.
Now, let me ask you this. Considering that we both seem to be on the same page that we are not vaccinating newborns, what would you suggest to the new parents out there to help boost their newborn's immune system?
Well, remember, let me change your language again. You cannot boost the immune system. The only way you can boost the immune system is artificially. Okay? That's a big fallacy.
How can you kickstart their immune system properly?
How can you support and allow it to grow? Okay?
There you go.
Number one thing is breast milk. Number one thing, breast milk, by far. Mom has to have a great diet. Mom has to make sure that they're putting great stuff in. And breast milk is the key to everything. It really is. Do you know that every one of my children breastfed for 2 years? Heck, 2.5 for my oldest. You understand? And it was like, and the idea is this: breast milk, and this concept that breast milk has no benefit after 6 months. I'm like, what fantasy world are you living in? Do you understand? And it's like, but here's the point. When you look at the child's immune system, some of the greatest things that happen is this: breast milk starts. Now, some passive immunity does happen. Your mom passes the innate response down to the child. Normal exposures start to build your child's immune responses. We have to stop being scared of exposures. Do you see him? Now, once you're exposed and now you see the immune system being challenged, yes, isolate yourself. Do you understand that the vast majority of parents, if their child is sick, they'll keep them at home, quote, sick. Get my point? Because that's just parenting 101. An animal, even when it actually is going through stuff, isolates itself, okay? But the idea is this is exposure. We have to get this concept of exposure is actually a bad thing. So a child gets exposed while you are giving your body support. Now, do I think that a child should take a form of vitamin D3, K2? Absolutely. You see, they can take a couple hundred IUs per day that way. Do I think, for example, that there can be other things, but here's what you got to be careful on. I did a video probably about 10 years ago that even moms just lost their mind. If you look at the immune response, you look at the GI, and you look at all the other things that develop, do you understand that the vast majority of your body is not ready to handle food till 1 year old? Do you understand that? You look at the development of the digestive tract, you develop certain immune responses. Actually, it's not really meant to handle food to at least 1 year old. So this concept of 6 months has nothing to do with science. Actually, that's probably anti-science by giving your kids six months of food. But see, in our lifestyle that we live, moms are putting food in their kids, and dads, but moms make most decisions. They're putting their food into kids too early. And Even organic food can pass through and even cause an allergic reaction. I know it's tough, ladies. I'm telling you, building a normal, healthy child takes work. It does. So therefore, hold off food to a certain point. Make sure the child gets breast milk. Make sure the child that you can supplement with some things for mom and the child that way. And then when you introduce foods into there, you start introducing foods that are going to be the greatest to support the immune response. You see, and that's the cool thing is this. And what is one of the number one things that they give kids, the pediatrician and the lactation consultant and all this tell people what to do? Sugar-based formulas. Seed oil-based formulas. Do you understand that your index to omega-6, omega-3s has to be balanced? So all these nutrition people saying, omega-6s are good for you. Well, no, we need omega-6s. But you're so deficient in omega-3s that now when you do get an inflammatory response, omega-6s cannot regulate the immune response. You need omega-3s to stop that inflammatory reaction, and they're immune deficient and they're hyperinflammatory. See, so look at the high omega-based foods for your child when they first start to get foods. You know what they are? Animal products. It's not a sweet potato. It's not a sweet potato. Do you understand? Now, I love sweet potatoes. My kids have them too in the first, year and a half of their life. But see, we're missing the boat on how to build a proper immune response to a child that way. And then when they get exposure, do you ever notice that a child by nature puts everything in their mouth? It's really funny. I watch parents tell me this. At 6 months, my child was actually grabbing for food. Put a piece of dog shit in front of him. He'll put it in his mouth too at 6 months. Okay.
You're so right. My son's doing it right now. Everything. It does not matter. Everything.
I'm sorry for all my non-Christian friends. I'm a Christian. It's just me. I don't care what your religion is. Okay. I believe that any form of religion is good. I just love Christianity. It's just me. But here's the point. Do you think that God didn't put that in the kid? That everything, that daughter or son, everything goes in their mouth, their toes, their feet, their hands, your head, your face. Give them a fizzy in there. They're adapting to their environment by exposure. That's why we found out if you try to mess with nature and create antibacterial wipes, nature just says, I will adapt and I will still live. So guess what? Grandma kisses a kid, build the immune system. Hey, auntie, come on over here, kiss my child. You say, I tell people, I want every bacteria and virus you have except for your genital herpes. That's funny right there. Okay, who you are.
Yeah, just not the herpes, please.
Yes,
please.
You keep that one. And I don't have it. Okay. It is this. I do not have simplex 2. Okay. But here's the point. This concept of fearing bacteria. You are a petri dish. Exposure.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's such a simple principle, but unfortunately it is not easy. It's a simple principle, but it is hard to put in place.
Having a 5-month-old, is it easy?
No.
Kids are the most inconvenient, hard thing you ever do in your life. That's what people say. I love to do couples. We're ready for a child. You have no idea what you're talking about. Zero. You want a child. Just say you want a child. I want everybody to have families. You're not ready for a child. Nobody's ready for a child. You saying? It's like this concept. It's, this is the over aspect of emotional stuff. I really want a child. Yeah, good. I want a lot of stuff too. And I want children. I have 4 beautiful daughters. It's absolutely amazing. It's fantastic. Okay. But if you want convenience, please don't become a parent.
Yep.
Sorry. You have to. Who's having these honest conversations with the people? I do all the time. Doc, you're being mean. You know, someone is this. Everybody thinks the truth is mean, but I came up with a saying. Truth is like poetry. Nobody likes poetry. Tell people the truth.
What I was going to say is that it's a simple principle to understand, but it is not easy to put in place considering the way we live today, the way people want to live. So this is why what you're saying, I'm laughing because it is not easy. It's simple to treat your body with the respect that it deserves. Exercise, sleep, eat properly, try not to eat too much sugar, as you said, omega-3, omega-6, try the vitamin D, especially for climate like Canada and Wisconsin when you're from, mix it with K2 to help the absorption, or else vitamin D doesn't do his job properly, or your body doesn't receive it the way that it should. And but that's a lot of thing for a lot of the people out there. But
Well,
but as you
no,
said
it's not.
though, I
Hear this
like
way.
what you said, that having a kid is not easy. So you
No.
got to be ready that it's going to be hard, right?
But you know it's not easzy? Getting a child a vaccine, they have a seizure right there. Having a mentally retarded child for the next 30 years and stuff like that. Don't tell me about easy. Not you. You saying? It's like, you know, some of this, you know, the rate of divorce in children that have autism is extremely high. So you want to talk about easy? Man, doing the stuff I told you is simplistic compared to a kid taking his feces and rubbing it on the wall every night. You think I'm joking? I've seen thousands of those kids. So trust me,
You know,
my way is really easy.
you're absolutely right. The man that runs Vaccine Choice Canada, that's exactly what happened. His son was vaccine injured when he
Yep.
was something like 6 months,
Yep.
and he died. He was in his late 30s. So they had to take care of a mentally challenged child until he died. So that is why he does what he does today. That's exactly the reason. And, you know, he says all the time that there's every single kid that was vaccinated has been injured somehow. Like there's no
Remember,
such thing as an injury-free vaccination.
I can show you, and here's the difference because of my immunology background. Even before I did my continuing education, I'm doing now that way. I would test children's immune system post-vaccines. Look at their natural killer cells. Look at their T cell responses. Look at their antibody responses. And people say, my kid's doing fine. No, he's not, because the inflammatory state is there and it will build for years and years and years. And all of a sudden you have an autoimmune condition. All of a sudden you have allergies. All of a sudden you have all these inflammatory diseases. And by nature, if you understand vaccines, it does that on purpose. It does it on purpose. Vaccines make zero sense to the child that you're trying to grow up healthy. Zero. I will tell you this, and I've said this today. I've said this since I was a teenager. Especially, it doesn't take that much to learn about vaccines and stuff like that. It's the most detrimental thing to human history there ever has been. The vaccines, by far, and I can prove that scientifically. Yeah, they say it saved more kids. You have destroyed more lives than ever you thought you saved.
So let me finish with one question for the people out there that are expecting.
Yep.
What would you recommend they do to get ready for what's coming? Because I can tell you from a personal experience, doctors and nurses are absolutely relentless when it comes to vaccination. Even our doctor right now that takes care of her son, we see her once a month just to make sure that everything is physically okay, because he was born 4.8 pounds. So they had to keep him, like I slept in the emergency for 4 days in a lawn chair, basically, just to make sure they did not do anything I did not want them to do to my son. And it's a battle. Like, it's a battle giving birth, for my wife giving birth today, and us being new parents that don't want vaccines, that eat well, that exercise, that take care of ourselves, that understand what it takes. So what would you say for the expecting parents or the new parents out there, for them to get ready for what's coming, to kind of give them, I don't know if you have advice, you have a tool they can use to...
Well, first advice is this. Since when do doctors own you? I thought Canada doesn't have slavery. Why do doctors act like they own you? They won't take care of you? Great, get a different doctor. And here's what happens this. I'm sorry. My children 22, 19, 16, and 9, and they've never seen a doctor besides me. My children are all born at home. And if my daughters break their arm, I have a good friend who's a surgeon over at the emergency room. I'll go to the emergency room and praise medicine for what it does do. Give them some drugs, give them some surgery, won't get a vaccine, and some of that, and help them through the emergency situation. Since when do doctors own you? I thought we got rid of slavery a long time ago across most of the Western countries. They don't own you. It's your body. You tell them, shut the fuck up. I'm being straight. For all my Christian friends, you look at them and say, shut the fuck up. You don't own me. Here, watch this. I tell people, if you don't think life is war, you're living in a fantasy world. You say, it's like, the idea is this, it's war. They'll do everything they can to win. And it's like, no, listen, you're not winning anything. Shut up. You look at a doctor, I tell people, shut up all the time. I tell my patients, tell the doctor, shut up. He doesn't own you. Thank you for your information. Now shut up. You saying? And because remember, if you think about it this way, now granted, Canada's a little more messed up. That's why I do like capitalism. Capitalism is, you better have a good service I'm willing to pay for. Otherwise, I don't want to pay you for it. Do you see what I'm saying? But see, it's like this. In order to actually live a healthy life, you have to actually have inconvenience in your life. Let me give you an example. So women are like, doc, I study mammograms. They're horrible. Absolutely. But my doctor won't do an ultrasound, which is better, an MRI, unless he gets an ultrasound first. So pay for it. Well, I don't want to do that. I want my insurance to pay for it. Well, then accept what you get then. You understand? It's like, well, my Canadian will pay for it if I go through the Canadian healthcare system. Well, then pay for something different yourself. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, then don't bitch. You understand? It's like this. I always use religion example. Go to a Muslim church and tell me you want to learn about Jesus. It's like going to a pediatrician and tell me you don't want to vaccinate. It's the same thing. We don't believe that here. But I believe in Jesus. You should do it. Jesus is good for you. No, Muhammad is. It's not a joke. You're actually asking people to give up what they've believed so hardly, and you think you're going to walk in with a piece of paper saying, I read something. And you can even be right. See, a good doctor is there. Do you understand? It's really funny. I did this the other day. Do you know the first people that used the term doctor was? Theologians. That's where it started. And see, doctor now has turned into like that you can't give bad information or this, there. I'm a doctor. Okay, so you learned something. Do you think you ever could have learned something wrong? Doctors used to also say that Camels were the best cigarettes to smoke. Doctors used to do bloodletting. Doctors told you to get a COVID shot. You know what I'm saying? Stop trying to go on their court and ask them to play a different game.
And yet I can tell you that if you push back and you're relentless the way that they are, they will give up.
Of course
they tried, and as soon as I'm like, no, this is why, and you can stop asking.
Yep.
You stop asking. I'm not interested. What you're selling, I don't want. Yeah. To a point where my son's doctor jokes about it. She's like, she's old school. She's in her 70s, so she looked at us the first time. She's like, hey, when are you doing your vaccines? We're like, we're not. And now every time we see her, we're like, oh, here you go. Those are the people that don't vaccinate. So it's kind of a joke, but she told us from the get-go, I will never stop seeing you because you choose to do this. This is not what I recommend for you, but if that's what you choose to do, I'm still going to see your son. It's never going to stop me from seeing him. So
and that's great. That's a good doctor. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you know why?
Agreed.
Here, thank you for advice. I say no. Guess what? Next. That's it. That's simple. Do you understand? You can't force remember, people are individuals. Everything should be an informed choice. It should never be guilted in anything. You should never be positioned that way. And it's like I tell people, you want to drink soda every day? Cool. Do you say, do what you need to do? Do you say, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to suggest it. I can give you all the evidence why you shouldn't do it, but they're still going to do it. You know? And it's like, but the idea is this. I'll be here when everything falls apart, though. And you say, you know what happens to this? When they do give the vaccine and they can have a seizure right after, no correlation. That was going to happen no matter what. You say, no. You don't get that. You don't get to get out of responsibility. Oh, you're right. So what I got to do is I got to go to Congress and create an act that says that we're not liable if now kids get hurt. See, lies, corruption, things like that. So, and they're on, guys. And that's why, for example, thank you for having me on. I know we're going to get done soon here, but I want to say this. So if you wonder why I went back for my master's degree, it's not because I haven't learned anything different than I had right now that I knew before and some of that. But the idea is this. My undergraduate degree is like a high school education, the way people think is that way, because everybody has a bachelor's nowadays. Yes, I have my doctorate in chiropractic, but that's more of a vitalistic, holistic realm that way. But here's this. So I'm entering that world to fight them. Do you understand? The medical school I'm going to, they don't realize is the fact it's like, I'm kind of going there going, I'm actually just arming myself to actually speak about everything you're going to teach the medical students going through in the first place. But I will do it with reason and logic and make it so simple. And my professors love me. I'm actually so many friends with PhD immunologists, it'll blow your mind. Actually, no joke. They're the person that's going to probably approve my PhD when I do my thesis work. And it's going to be on adjuvants. Do you see? But see, because here's what happens this. People should have the information presented to them. And there's so many times you said this, Nico. Think about this. No matter what I said today, you can't say I didn't make sense. You can't say I didn't break it down so simply for you to understand. The job of a real doctor, the real teacher, because that's what doctor stands for in Latin, is to teach the person to guide them to a better way of life. The first thing of all doctors, chiropractors, naturopaths, podiatrists, medical doctors, surgeons, is do no harm. And when a pediatrician doesn't know the ingredients that can cause harm to your child, sorry, you're not a good individual. And if you can sleep at night, I hope Muhammad or Jesus does forgive you, because I can't.
It's always a pleasure, Doctor. It's the second time we speak. Absolutely love our talks. Thank you for doing this. All the best to
Thank you.
Proving them wrong. All the patience in the world to proving them wrong, because that can't be easy to sit down and try to learn about stuff that you're just learning to disprove afterwards. But all the best to you, all the best in your business, and thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Appreciate what you're doing. Thank you to all you people in Canada. Thank you to all the organization you guys are dealing with that way. You know, what you guys are doing, you're, by the vast majority, you're never going to thank you. But for a person that's been doing this for almost 30 years, I thank you, because the stuff you say to people will make a big difference. Keep going.
I'll never stop, because that's what Christ wants me to do. So it's not even an option.
Yep.
So I just do what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yep. Love it. God bless you.
Thank you. Thanks again. God bless you as well, sir.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.